When you picture a property appraiser, you probably imagine one person, clipboard in hand, walking around a house, maybe taking some notes. But what if I told you that for some, the modern reality is, well, it's less of a solo craft and more like a high-tech assembly line. What we're actually looking at here is a 74-step machine. It's a workflow that's been designed from the ground up for one thing and one thing only: absolute efficiency and property valuation. And this quote? This really gets to the heart of it all. This is the guiding philosophy, the very soul of this entire system. It's this relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of speed and precision. Every single second, literally every second, counts. So, here's our game plan for breaking down this appraisal factory. First, we'll look at the big idea, the appraisal assembly line. Then, we'll journey through each of the 4 main stations: building the blueprint, decoding the market, assembling the report, and finally, final quality control. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at the efficiency engine that makes the whole thing run. At its core, this whole thing is a massive shift away from that lone appraiser model. It's not a solo art form anymore. No, this is team science. The entire process is broken down into 5 distinct phases, with very specialized roles contributing to each and every part of the analysis. And what's really fascinating here is that this company was way ahead of the curve. They've been using what's called a bifurcated appraisal since way back in 2010. And it's a simple idea, really. One person does the property inspection and a totally different person writes the actual report. Just splitting up the job like that was their first big leap in efficiency. All right, let's move to our first station on the line. Station 1 is all about building the blueprint. See, before anyone even starts thinking about a property's value, the team has to build this rock-solid foundation of data. And we're not talking about a quick Google search here. There's an admin assistant who follows a super meticulous checklist. They're grabbing the order, creating a digital work file in Google Drive, and then saving everything: client contracts, property plans, all past and present MLS listings, any prior appraisals, even public records like tax sheets and aerial maps. It is exhaustive. And the result of all that work? Speed and centralization. Within just 24 hours of getting an assignment, this complete digital dossier exists in one shared, accessible place. So right from the very start, everyone on the team is working from the exact same playbook. So with that blueprint built, we arrive at Station 2, decoding the market. This is where all that raw data we just collected gets transformed into actual market intelligence. This comparison, wow, it really shows the massive leap in technology. I mean, the old way was just tedious manual data entry with information scattered all over the place. The new way? They call it a TurboTax-style system. It's this guided process where an Excel sheet is linked directly to the final report, which automates a ton of data transfer and saves just a huge amount of time. So the process works kind of like a funnel. The analyst starts by casting the widest net possible. They're pulling in data for the entire county, the specific zip code, and a defined market area going back 3 to 5 years. This is the big picture view. And from that massive starting point, they begin to narrow the focus. They drill down to just the specific neighborhood stats from the last 12 months. Then they start searching for active and pending listings to really identify the direct competition for that property. So what's at the very bottom of that data funnel? A carefully curated list of the 6 to 9 most comparable properties. This highly filtered, super relevant list, well, that's what the entire valuation is going to be built on. Okay, next up is Station 3, assembling the report. This is where the on-the-ground inspection data finally meets all that market analysis we just talked about from Station 2. It's where it all comes together. And this handoff is it's seamless, and it's totally tech-driven. The inspector in the field syncs their notes, their sketch, their photos from a tablet, and boom, it's in the cloud. Then, a production assistant downloads, cleans, and organizes all that data right into the report template. And it's only then that the analyst steps in to integrate their research and write the draft. It's a true production line. You can see how the workflow is just so clear and sequential. The inspector's data sync kicks things off. Then the production assistant does that crucial cleanup and organization. Finally, the analyst performs the deep analysis and drafting. Each person has a very clear, very defined role in building this thing. But hold on, the report isn't finished yet. It still has to pass through the final and maybe the most critical stage of all, Station 4, final quality control. Think of this as the last line of defense for accuracy. A senior assigning appraiser goes through the entire report with a fine-tooth comb.
Seriously, they're checking everything, from the contract section and zoning compliance all the way to the sales comparison grid adjustments and the cost approach. This checklist is specifically designed to catch all those common errors before the client ever lays eyes on it.
And here's the crucial part. Even though it's a huge team effort, one person, the signing appraiser, takes final, ultimate responsibility for the entire product. The buck stops with them.
So what is it that powers this whole machine? Let's take a second and recap the core components of this efficiency engine.
It really all comes down to specialization. You've got the admin handling the work file, the inspector out in the field, the production assistant organizing all the data, and the analyst doing that deep research. And then the signing appraiser oversees and signs off on the whole thing. Each role is distinct, focused, and essential. So when you boil it all down, this entire system really stands on three pillars. First, specialization of roles, which we just saw. Second, technology. We're talking cloud syncing from the field, linking Excel directly to the report. And third, a highly refined step-by-step process that leaves absolutely nothing to chance. And all of this, it leads us to the big question, right? This 74-step machine is a really powerful answer to the constant demand for both speed and accuracy. It transforms appraising from a solo craft into a scalable, almost industrial process, which leaves us with this final thought. In a world that just keeps getting faster, is this the future of how we determine what a property is really worth?